Welcome to hashmarx Fantasy Update. I am Jane Sherman, and today's topic is benchmarks. A benchmark is a performance metric that represents a standard against which something can be measured or assessed. In the world of finance, any portfolio manager knows that their performance is graded according to another stock index, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, for example. That is because an investor could always invest in the companies that comprise the Dow Jones Industrial Average without using a portfolio manager. This makes the Dow Jones Industrial Average a benchmark because the investment portfolio manager is only as good as how much he could get above the benchmark. So even if he's making money, say 5% a year, it's not really making money if you could have gotten 10% a year in the Dow Jones companies. The portfolio manager better be making more return than the index to provide value. In fantasy football, having a good benchmark is just as important as it is in finance. If in week 3 my quarterback gets 15 points, is that good? Well, yeah, if all the other starters are getting 10 points, but it's terrible if everybody else's quarterback is getting 20 plus. That is why at hashmarx we created a benchmark for every position. We call it the hashmarx position index. The index shows how many points a typical starting player in a fantasy league would receive at that position. Using the hashmarx index as a benchmark, a fantasy owner is able to tell whether a player's performance is good or bad in a particular week. In addition to the short-run use of the index weekly, we can also look at long-run trends to the index. In this way, we're able to gain very good insight into how players' performance changes through time. This is a chart that depicts a trend in the running back index. For every week, we average the calculated index for that week from 2004 to 2013. An interesting phenomenon that we notice here is that early in the year, the index average tends to run high, and we see that the index average dips by approximately 2 points as the year progresses. That is because as buys and injuries kick in during the season, the average fantasy player scores less. So an impressive performance at the end of the season is harder to come by. Most people form an opinion of what's good fantasy performance based on the beginning of the year, and hence they're mistaken when they don't modify their expectation as time goes by. With a benchmark like the hashmarx index, however, a fantasy football analyst is equipped to assess fantasy performance properly.